This is a mink release. The district attorney, Michael O'Donnell, added a count of aggravated cruelty to animals. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Anxieties are rising. Welcome to Rising Anxieties. This is where we unpack what Animal Ag is worried about. Unfortunately, we also sometimes end up unpacking a lot of what we're worried about as well. And there's a lot about Animal Ag to worry us all. Our first story is actually what Canadians should be worrying about. This article is from Canada. Canadian farms at risk from animal activism. This is from the Manitoba Cooperator by Miranda Leyburn. A legal expert warns that growing animal rights activism is creating complex challenges for Canadian livestock farmers. This is basically based on a talk by one Melanie Power, who's a lawyer, who obviously would like to be representing more animal ag businesses. So the article points out that Canadian farms are facing increasing legal and financial risks. Yeah, I bet they are. From animal rights activists using tactics that range from undercover surveillance to mass trespassing. Okay. And then there's a summary here at the beginning of the article describing why it matters. I mean, I guess why you should be reading this article, why it's important. I'm just going to quote from it. Canada has seen, well, it says Canada has seen Ben, but I think it means Canada has seen several high-profile cases of animal welfare and rights activists. Interesting that they separate those. Coming into barns without farmer permission, making welfare complaints to the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, publicly accusing farms of cruelty, or pursuing legal action against farms. I mean, that's basically the point of this article, that activists who care about animals are pursuing legal routes to try to uncover what's going on. Oh my God, how dare they? It points out that the number of animal cruelty investigations has nearly doubled over the past 15 years. It doesn't say that's on farms. That seems unlikely. I don't know. Between 2015 and 2022, calls to provincial animal cruelty call centers nearly tripled. Again, not especially about farms, according to this. So she's really trying to drum up some clients here. But they put together this forum where she could speak because they're concerned about the safety of farmers, farm families, workers, and even the trespassers. Isn't it kind for them to be concerned about everybody's safety? And the concerning trends that, is causing this are undercover videos captured by drones, hidden cameras, or activists posing as employees. Exactly how does that endanger anybody? I don't know. I don't know. They talk about a Mercy for Animals undercover investigation that recorded chicken handling operations in British Columbia, and the investigator was working there. Despite concerns about the reliability of the footage, which had been self-selected and edited by the employee to only show the most controversial moments, courts allowed the evidence to be admitted. Like, they edit it. There's no claim here that it was fake. It's just that they edit out the stuff where crimes weren't being committed, I guess. Like, doesn't that make sense? Does that cast any doubt on the parts where they were being committed? They make no sense. Another, as they say, more dramatic case involved one of these mass protests. 200 protesters organized by Meet the Victims. Nice. Broke into a hog barn. 50 of them entered the barn and refused to leave until media were allowed to record conditions inside. Oh my God, media. And in that case, 2 of the protest leaders were actually charged and convicted, even though all they wanted was to get it on TV. That's all they wanted. Well, it's not all they want, but it's all they were trying to get. The protesters, according to this representative, are not in there about animal welfare. They're in there to get meat off the table. They're exactly right. That's exactly right. They've got it. Another from an animal justice investigation at a fish farm. They recorded hundreds of hours of video footage and gave it to the SPCA and Federal Department of Fisheries and Oceans, which began a joint investigation. They collect evidence of crimes, hand it to the authorities. You get the gist here. They are talking about the potential for false video created by AI. Yeah, it's really us who's doing that. Yeah. Uh, and they refer to the United States, the right to rescue movement has emerged. It's nice to know that in Canada, at least the United States is getting credit for something good that we're doing, even though they may not think it's good, because, most of the stuff we're doing ain't exactly popular. All right. Watt Agnet has an article that I think, I don't know why I'm including this. It's just so ironic. This is by Roy Graber. New Perdue product isn't exactly seafood. These nuggets may look like fish, octopus, sea turtles, and dolphins, but they are undoubtedly made from chicken. And then they show the package, and it's this disgusting little package. And it says sea creature, and it does say in big print, not as big, but big print, chicken nuggets. They're making it clear that it's made out of chicken. And then, like, pieces of the dead bodies of birds are cut up and put into the shape of these little fish and etc. It's disgusting. Oh my God. And he points out that the company just announced that chicken nuggets shaped like these sea creatures are, quote, swimming into freezers nationwide just in time for summer break as part of a limited time release. Quote, Perdue sea creature chicken nuggets are a fast, fun way for parents to transform mealtime into a deep sea adventure. I mean, not only is this disgusting, but he also points out that at first he was skeptical, thinking that it would be confusing, that the kids, it's targeted at kids too. Would they be confused and think that these are all fish nuggets or octopus nuggets? But then I thought, if it happens, it happens. Like, don't you think it's a little ironic that every time any company tries to package plant-based plants, basically, as looking like or tasting like or imitating meat products, no matter how big the print is that it's made out of plants, still, oh my God. And it's not even necessarily focused on children. Like, oh my God, it's going to be so confusing. But this is just fine. These people are nuts. No, they're not. They're very successful. Apparently, I'm nuts. I think that's the conclusion here. All right, from the UK, this is from our friends at Plant Based News. Anti-dairy advert banned in the UK. The ASA, which is the Advertising Standards something authority, has banned an advert from animal rights charity Viva. All right, so apparently this was shown in movie theaters, and unbelievably, they showed it a lot of times before this complaint managed to get it through. It was apparently seen by 3.5 million people. A lot of people must go to the movies. It received 25 complaints. That's roughly 0.0025% of viewers. Nevertheless, the Advertising Standards Authority thought that they should take some kind of action. And I mean, this is not a completely nonsensical argument. It's entitled Dairy is Scary, and it first depicts a human mother tucking her newborn baby into bed, and then there's this boogeyman figure comes in and steals the baby, and the mother is desperate, and then the boogeyman replies, you can't keep your baby because we want your milk, and then they shift to footage of dairy industry where, this really happens. So the Advertising Bureau, in spite of having received this infinitesimal number of complaints, decided that people who had been traumatized by the loss of a child would be traumatized by this ad, and so we should ban it. And it just kind of, like, it's not completely nonsensical, but given the fact that there were virtually no complaints, like maybe this actually didn't happen, so maybe we shouldn't worry about it. Viva responded that they understood that it was deeply sensitive, but emphasized the care had been taken to ensure the scene was symbolic and a fantasy rather than literal. I didn't see it, so I can't evaluate that. And, it just brings up the same kind of thoughts, which in a different situation, but sort of ringing the same bells, when people compare what's happening to animals to the Holocaust or slavery. People use these analogies because they're all we've got. Like, of course, we have to analogize to something that people would be able to identify with because it's happening to humans, because we're people, and that's how we think. And then we would show that this is what's happened. What other kind of analogies are we supposed to make? And they know that, and that's why they're troubled by it, and that's why they banned it. but not until 3.5 million people had seen it. So nice work, Viva. All right, this is disturbing. Charge dropped, another added against 2 accused of releasing mink from Pennsylvania fur farm. This is a very brief article from Penn Live, Patriot News. This is a mink release which happened all the time and is going on. And these people, Christopher Leger and Cara Mitrano, got arrested. And this just is reporting on the fact that one charge was dropped and another was added. The charge that was dropped was a charge of corrupt organizations, which probably is some kind of Pennsylvania analogy to a RICO charge, I would assume. And they probably just didn't have any evidence that there was that kind of conspiracy going on. But the district attorney, Michael O'Donnell, added a count of aggravated cruelty to animals. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? I just hope this goes to a huge trial and they are able to bring in the cruelty that they were trying to save these mink from. I mean, mink releases are controversial. Well, they're not really controversial. They're desperate. They're an act of desperation. It's not a perfect thing to be doing for these animals, but given what's going to happen to them, I just really hope that this can become like well publicized, because it's just, how dare they? I mean, how dare they aggravated cruelty to animals for letting them out of this horrific situation where they're, going to be killed. Like, I don't know what their conditions were like, but it's a mink farm. What are the chances that the conditions aren't horrific? All right. Finally, some DXE news. This is a press release from DXE. Second Perdue Foods executive sues animal rights group to stop public protests. All right, this is about there's two. This one was just filed, and the other one was filed in April. And these are these executives at Petaluma Poultry, which is owned by Perdue, and of course has been the target of a great deal of direct action everywhere work. And they're apparently doing home protests, which are illegal in some places, I think, but apparently not here, because nobody's talking about the type of protest being illegal. They have a picture of these protesters. There's maybe, I don't know, 8, 10 people. They're holding up signs. The big sign says Scott Fitzpatrick, stop animal cruelty. Like, they're protesting. But apparently they think that they can get this stopped, because apparently we don't have a First Amendment anymore. It doesn't say in this particular article, I don't think, but in the other article, the basis, which was in April for, very, very similar kind of situation, they said that there were terrifying incidents where DXE operatives stand outside Mr. Arnold's home for hours. Like, what difference does it make how long they're out there? Shouting through megaphones and displaying banners with Mr. Arnold's image. like, it's not exactly threatening, or it's not exactly what you would call a campaign of terror, which is exactly what they're calling it. That's what a protest is. You say what you mean. And, in some places there are laws against using megaphones. Apparently there isn't here. They're just saying they're being terrorized. Like, they're mad because they're being protested. And they have children. So don't do this. Like, you can't protest anywhere that somebody brings their children or has their children. Like, it's unfortunate. But they in the April one, they argued that they have intentionally inflicted emotional distress on Mr. Arnold and his family, invaded his privacy. They're not on his property. They're out on the street, and put Mr. Arnold and his family in fear for their safety. And he has 2 school-aged children. Like, they're protesting, as far as I can tell. I don't know. They haven't had a trial yet or anything, but this also sounds like a really great opportunity to talk a lot about exactly what it is they're protesting. You just got to love the way the direct action everywhere people put themselves on the line in order to do these things. Heroes. In my book, a bunch of heroes. And that's it for this week's Rising Anxieties. Thank you for joining me today on Rising Anxieties. And don't forget to tune into our other podcasts, The Hen Report and the Our Hen House interview. I am so thrilled with the interview this week. It's all about senior dog rescue. I absolutely love Sherry Franklin, the person we interviewed, who's running this unbelievable facility in San Francisco. And, we don't often, most of what we interview people about is really depressing, but And of course the situation for senior dogs can be depressing, but what she's doing is just so exciting and amazing, and you're going to love it. And thank you so much for tuning in today. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcatcher, or if you're watching it, subscribe on YouTube.